secrets on your screen, where every vid's a gorgeous dream. Reactions full of light and fun, empowerment for everyone.
Okay, guys, you're gonna have to excuse the bonnet. I'm doing a treatment on my hair. That's why I've had it on all day. But let's get into part one on how I became a 304 and ended up serving 10 years in federal prison. So I was fresh out of high school. I was 18 years old. This was back in 2009, 2010. I graduated at the top of my class. I was valedictorian, and I ended up landing a job at HUD Housing. I was offered a very good salary. I had the admin position. I had my own little office. I was able to get my own apartment, my own car. Everything was going good. I was so happy. And I was in school too. I was studying business administration. I had changed my major several times, but business was the only one that fit me, so that's what I stuck with. So everything was going good. I think I was making good money for a person that age. I didn't have no baby, things like that. But for some reason, I just wasn't content. I wanted more. And I had a lot of homegirls at the time who were working in the clubs. They was, in the streets getting their money. So I asked one of my friends, take me to the club so I can see if I can make some money. So the first club I went to was this club back in the days, bless you, baby. It was called Rolex. Now the name has changed, but back in the days, it was called the Rolex. If you're from Miami, you know what club I'm talking about. So my first experience, my first day working there, the experience was, it was crazy. It was crazy, but I did make some money, and I was like, you know what, this cool, I can do this. You just dancing for money. So I did that for about 8 months straight until I met this guy. He was a big scammer. He had a lot of money, and I quit my job. And I ended up moving into this 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with him in Kissimmee, Florida. Now, this guy had so much money, he let me keep my apartment in Miami. He was still paying the bills in Miami, but I was no longer living there. I had to let one of my friends go live there to maintain the apartment so nobody won't break in and think nobody was living there. So everything was glitz and glamour with this guy. I'm talking about my first time touching $50,000 in cash was with this guy. We went on trips. We would go to the club. It was a party every day. It was just good vibes. But shortly after, I think about week 2 of living with him, I got my ass kicked. I got my ass kicked all over that 5-bedroom house. And that's when I started rethinking things like, wait a minute, this might not be the person for me. I don't think this is the guy for me, because I had never been in an abusive relationship before. I never had nobody put their hands on me. But when he did it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not something I want to continue to let happen to me. So I started devising a plan as to how to get back to Miami. About 3 months later, I was able to, muster up the strength that I needed to leave. And I went back to Miami. I went back to my apartment. But when I went back to my apartment, I no longer had a job. I no longer had a way to pay the bills. I no longer had a way to maintain, the things that I needed. So, I went back to the club. So on this particular day, it was Valentine's Day. I'll never forget it. It's why I hate Valentine's Day to this day. And I met this guy because he was, I'm not going to say his name either. My co-defendant, I'm not going to say his name. But those of you who know me, y'all know who he is. So anyways, I met this guy. How I met him is he was at the bar. He had weed, and I wanted some weed, and I was trying to actually purchase the weed from him. But he was like, oh, I'm not going to sell you no weed, but you can smoke with me. So I was like, okay, cool. I told my homegirl, look, I'm about to run to the bathroom real quick. Watch him roll the joint, make sure he don't put nothing in it, and I'll be right back. When I came back, we smoked the joint. It was a vibe. We cool. We kicking it. So right before we was going to leave, 2 girls walked up to us, and they told him, they was like, hey, we ready to go. One was dark skin, and one of them was light skin. They had their clothes on with their stripper bags or whatever, and they was just telling him they ready to go. So he was like, okay, here's the keys, and he gave him the keys, and they got in the car and left, I guess. I don't know. But my phone had went dead. So when it was time for me to exchange numbers with the guy, I told him, look, my phone is dead. Just text me, so when I charge my phone up, I can see the message and I'll hit you back up. So after that night, I gave him my number, told him to text me. When my phone charged back up, I was going to hit him up. I dropped my homegirl off, and then I ended up staying in my mom's house in Little Haiti. I don't know why I didn't go home that night, but I ended up staying at my mom's house. So when I got home and I put my phone on a charger, the guy was blowing me up. I mean, I had 20 missed calls. He just kept calling back, but I didn't answer the phone. And I went to sleep. So the next day I called Tim back. And when I called Tim back, he was being real dry. He was like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "You called me, I'm returning the call." He was like, "Oh, I was calling you all last night. You wasn't answering." I was like, "Well, I didn't go home last night. I stayed at my mom's house and she didn't have no service." I lied. I don't know why I lied, but I wish I would have never called back. But anyways, he was like, "Okay, whatever. Where you at?" I told him I was at my mom's house. He was like, "You want to go to the beach?" I'm like, "Yeah, come pick me up." So I get dressed, put on my little, bathing suit, my little cute sandals. I'm freshening up my makeup and things like that. And he pulls up. Now, when he pulls up in a small car. It was so small, it looked like a clown car. But I noticed it was two people in the car with him, so I was kind of thrown off. I'm like, okay, if you come and get me, we going to the beach. I'm thinking we going on a date. I didn't know you was going to bring other people with you, but whatever. I get in the car. He's telling me to get in the back seat. When I get in this back seat, I was mortified, guys. When I tell you, it was so much trash in this car. It was a car seat. It was Pampers. It was clothes. It was shoes. It was makeup. It was everything you could possibly think of in that car. They was literally cleaning stuff off the seat for me to sit down. And then I seen it was the two girls from last night. One was in the front seat. One was in the back. So the girl was like, "Hey, my name is Kat." That's the one in the front seat, the dark skinned one. And then the one in the back, the light skinned one, she was like, "Hi, my name is Rita." I'm like, "Okay, hey, I'm China." So I'm looking at my co-defendant through the rearview mirror, trying to make eye contact with him, like, what the fuck, like, why are these people in the car? But he just ignored me. I guess he ignored the signals, and he passed me the joint. So the joint going around, we smoking, and we finally end up at the beach. So in Miami, we have a lot of beaches. We got Harlover, we got South Beach, we got Sandy Beach, we got a lot of beaches, Virginia Key Beach, but we end up going to Sandy Beach. And Sandy Beach is close to South Beach, but you just gotta go further south. It's really not a lot of traffic down there. Majority older white people be at that beach, and I was kind of surprised, like, why are we going here? But anyways, we get there, we get out the car, I see the girls, they walking ahead of us, and it's just me and him. We fell back a little, so I'm talking to him, and he's talking to me, and I want to ask him so bad, like, who are these girls and why are they here? But I don't know why. I just didn't. I just didn't. At that time, I did it. So we go. They do. I don't know what them girls went at because I didn't see them. We walk into the shore, and we end up getting in the water. Me and my co-defendant and the girls disappeared. And I was like, okay, I noticed that they wasn't with us no more. But I guess like an hour later, I looked back, and they was sitting on the sand. They had their little blanket out, and they was sitting on the sand, and they was looking at me, and they was giving me the evil eye. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do wrong? Like, why are these girls looking at me like this? So ignored them, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey, what's up with those girls? Like, why they looking at me crazy? Like, what y'all got going on?" And he was like, "Oh, don't mind them. They don't need to be worried about you. They need to be working. They here to work." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." Because at the time, I'm not knowing the lingo. I never had a pimp before. I never been on the street working. I don't know how it goes. I didn't know what the fuck he meant by working, but I just was like, okay, whatever. So the days in, he drops me back off to my mom's house, and he was like, "I'm gonna come back later and get you." And I was like, "By yourself?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, bet." So when he came and picked me up, he told me we was going to Coco's. One of his homeboys owned that club. So we went to Coco's. When we got to the door, he was giving everybody A5. They was dapping him up. I was like, okay, he got clout. They didn't search us. They didn't make us pay nothing at the door. We went in. We got us the little table upstairs by the pool tables. And we was sitting, drinking. We was having a good time. And then like 30 minutes into it, I see the same fucking girls. I see Rita and fucking Kat. They got on their stripper clothes, and they working in the club. And I'm just like, at this point, this is getting annoying because every time I think it's going to be me and you, these damn girls is in the picture, and I'm like, why did you bring me here, making me feel like it's just gonna be me and you, when the whole time you really just want to spy on these fucking girls? He was like, them girls was here before us. They drove their own whip. I ain't bring them here. And how you gonna get mad at them girls trying to make their money? That's what they do. They working. They getting their money. I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't want to argue and blow the vibe or whatever. So, we drinking, we vibing around like 7 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And he's like, you ever worked here before? And I'm like, no. He was like, you want to work here? And I'm like, well, like, do they be doing good? Like, how much money they be making? And he's like, they be doing good. They do all right. I think you could do better though. And I'm like, okay, well, I never thought about it before. I never wanted to work at Coco's because they was always shooting in there. It was just always something going on in Coco's. I never thought about working there, but I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a chance. Like I wasn't really thinking about it, but since you bring it up, I guess I will give it a chance. And so he was like, all right, cool. Just let me know when you're ready to come. I'm going to just tell my homeboys look out for you. You ain't got to worry about no tip out and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, whatever. So, days and weeks go by. I say about a month went by, and I went to this house he was living at in Miami Gardens. And when I got there, I see that they was packing all their stuff. They was packing like all their clothes and shoes and all the baby stuff because Rita had a baby. And I was like, "What? Why y'all packing up?" He was like, "Oh, the landlord said we can't live here no more." I'm like, "Well, what happened? Like, why would the landlord randomly say I can't live there no more?" He was like, "Oh, shit got out of hand last night. The police got called. I'm done with this bitch Cat. She gotta go. She ain't working with us no more." And then I hear Cat like, "Bitch, mind your business." And that's what she said in the background. And I'm like, "What? Who the fuck? I didn't even say shit. What do you mean mind my business? This ain't got nothing to do with you. You need to mind your motherfucking business. That's what's wrong with y'all hoes. Y'all hoes be out of pocket." I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about? So now I'm going back and forth with her. And he's like, don't say nothing to her. That hoe getting out of here today. That hoe getting out of here today. That's all he kept saying. And he went back in the room and slammed the door. And I kept hearing shit busting up against the wall. And I'm like, they must be in there fighting. So I'm looking at Rita. I'm like, bitch, I'm about to go. And she's like, bruh, don't mind Cat. She get like that all the time when the new girls come around. I'm like, when the new girls come around, bitch, I'm not no new girl. I'm not trying to get down with the get down. I thought I was just chilling with this dude, but at this point, like, it's looking like I need to be trying to make an exit plan. And she was like, girl, she always do that. Don't pay her no mind. And I just was like, okay, this is getting very weird. So when he finally come out the room with her, he's like, man, I'm about to go to a hotel. I'm like, why would y'all go to a hotel? Like, I got a second bedroom. I get it. That was so dumb. I should have never invited this man in my house. I know. Especially with Rita and her fucking baby. But I did it. I just didn't see no logic behind you going to go stay in a hotel for 2 weeks when you could just stay in my room, my second bedroom, until y'all get a crib. Like, it wasn't no big deal to me at the time. But I was so fucking stupid. Like, I was so stupid. And I forgot to mention, I had sex with him. I had sex with him. And the first time we had sex, he did so much nasty shit to me, it blew my mind. Like, I just was completely out of my element, not like myself, and I just was like not used to that type of shit. So I was kind of catching feelings for him really fast. He was way older than me. He was much more seasoned than me, and I don't know. I was in lust. It wasn't love. It was lust for sure. So back to the story at hand. My dumb ass told him they could come to my house. He couldn't wait. He was waiting on that opportunity. He was like, okay, cool, that's cool, all right. So I was like, but only you, Quita, and the baby. I mean, Rita and the baby. I was like, Cat can't come. I don't like her attitude. And he was like, all right, well, Cat gotta find somewhere to go anyways. I'm tired of that whole her mouth slick, whatever. So everybody agreed on what they was gonna do. Cat had somebody come pick her up, and Quita and her baby and him got in their car, and then they followed me to my crib or whatever. So they in the second bedroom. They fixing things up. They didn't bring no furniture from the other house, so it was nothing in there. They didn't have no air mattress. They didn't have nothing in the room. Like, we didn't have nothing at all in the room. My co-defendant, of course, was going to be in the room with me, but she didn't have nothing in the room for her and her baby. So he's like, you know what, we're going to go to Walmart. I'm going to go get a little air bed for her and the baby, like, get them some stuff or whatever. I was like, all right, bet. When he came back, he was like, y'all going to work? I'm like, y'all. He was like, yeah, I thought you said you was going to go to Coco's in there. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did say I was going to go to Coco's in there. He was like, yeah, you might as well take Rita with you. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It don't make sense for us to go in two different cars. We can go. And he was like, and keep your eye on her, too. And I was like, keep an eye on her? He was like, yeah, sometimes Rita be straying. And I was like, okay, whatever. So we doing our makeup, we put on our clothes, we put on our shoes, we get to the club. Like he said, I didn't have to pay no tip out. I made sure we didn't have to pay no tip out, and we went in there, we made our money. I made a significantly more than Rita, but she still made a nice amount. She didn't do nothing out of the norm for me. Like, I didn't see her do nothing weird, and I think the night went pretty smooth. And from that day forward, I started going to the club with Rita. I would take her everywhere I went. Every club I went to, I would take Rita with me. And it got to a point where she started, like, kind of answering to me. Like, she had accepted the fact, hey, this is my role in life. Like, I see she fucking with him, he fucking with her, like, they together. I'm just an extra person. I don't know how she summed it up in her mind to make her feel like it was cool. And I don't know what made me think that was all right either at the time. But that's just the kind of routine we fell into. So, so that was February, March. Now we're gonna go into April. This went on for about 2 months. So in April, one day I was going to another club. I was going to another club to work, and Rita was going on the street because sometimes they used to work on the street. And my co-defendant was like, I don't want you working. I don't want you working. He was like, I'd rather if you just manage the girls. Like, you don't got to work because I don't want you working. Like, I don't want you in the streets. I don't want you in the club. Like, you're my bitch. And I was like, well, I make more money than her and Kat put together, so I might as well, go work too, because I still got to pay my bills. And he was like, that's the point. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Once we get Kat back on board, you ain't going to have to work at all because they're going to work for us. And I'm like, work for us? I'm like, they're going to give us their money? He was like, what you think they've been doing? They've been giving me their money. And I'm like, but me too? Like, the Kat cannot stand me. He was like, she going to listen to whatever I say. And I was like, you think it's going to work? And he was like, yeah. He was like, but we need one more girl. And I was like, well, how we going to get a girl? And he was like, well, I was thinking, you could go to the club, fix yourself up nice. I'm going to give you some money. Going to get you a bottle. And it's going to be some girls in the club because there's always hoes in the club. And you just going to, be friendly and get to know somebody and see if they trying to get down. And I was like, I don't know. I ain't never really been like the type to just walk up to people in the club, talking to them and being friendly. And I've never been that type of person. He was like, you don't got to be friendly. He was like, just be inviting. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He was like, so yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to drop you off to the O. The O is the club in Miami. It's still open right now to this day. He was like, I'm going to drop you off to the club. You get you a little bottle, have you some fun, and meet you some people and see if we can get one more person because we need another girl. And I was like, okay. And that's how it all started. So, managing girls. I know a lot of y'all gonna be like, at what point did you realize this man was turning you basically into a madam? And some of y'all can probably relate to where I was at. But I just want y'all to understand that when you think you're in a relationship with somebody and you think that person is liking you and loving on you, you're thinking everything they're doing is with good intentions. You're not thinking, oh, this person using me to do this person using me to do that. I'm thinking everything that I'm doing for him is for us. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm just bettering your business or I'm just making you get money in your pocket, because y'all got to remember, I still have rent to pay. I still have a car note. I still have car insurance. I still have lights, phone bill, cable, food, clothes, shoes. I still need things as well. So it wasn't just one-sided, oh, I'm going to help him manage these girls and they're just going to bring him all their money and that was going to be it. This money was taking care of me as well. And I wasn't making nobody do nothing. Everybody was grown. Everybody was over 18. Everybody was doing their own thing. I was stripping as well, too. I was in the streets with it, too. So it wasn't one-sided. It's just the role that he presented to me kind of put me in a higher position. Even though we all was hoeing, I just was like the main hoe or the bottom hoe, whatever you want to call it. I'm just letting you know what it was at that time. So let's get into part three. So I ended up going to the office that night. I'll never forget this night. I went to the office. I met a girl. I did meet a girl, and she was a dark-skinned girl. I can't remember her name, but for the sake of this video, let's just call her Becky. So I met a girl, and she was cool. She was vibing. She had a cute little shape. She was drinking up the liquor like she bought it. She was a vibe. And I'm like, at some point, I was ready to go. I'm like, look, I'm gonna go to the back and order me some food. You want something to eat? She like, yeah. I'm like, after we get this food, we gonna go. She like, yeah, cool. So I'm like, all right, bet. So I go back there. I ordered me a chicken Alfredo. I ordered her the same thing. Wait around probably like 30 or 40 minutes, and the food was ready. We out. When it was time to go, I'm calling my co-defendant to come pick me up because I didn't drive that night. I called my co-defendant to come pick me up, and when he comes to pick me up, it's another girl in the back seat. And it's throwing me off because I'm trying to figure out, why is this girl in the back seat, first of all? Second of all, why didn't you tell me you was coming with somebody? But once again, I had a good time. I got my food. I had my liquor. Only thing he said when I got in the car is, did you buy enough for me to eat? I'm like, nah, babe, you could kill it. Just eat whatever I didn't eat, whatever. Now we get to my house, and the girl that I bought from the club with me, Becky, she's like, "Who's that?" While we walking up the stairs, I'm like, "Girl, I don't know." I said, "You was with me. I don't know who this is." She was like, "She look a little young." I'm like, "Yeah, she do look a little young, but again, I don't know who she is. Remember, me and you've been together all night. I don't know where he's been. I don't know where he's going. I don't know who this person is. I'm only concerned about me and you." And she was like, "Yeah, on second thought, I think I'm gonna just call me a ride home." And I'm like, "What do you mean call you around home? We just getting back to the crib. Like, we finna smoke, we finna drink, like, we finna continue partying." She was like, "Yeah, I ain't really feeling it like that no more." So at this point, I'm not about to gorilla pimp no hoe. I'm new to this. I'm not true to this. I'm not about to beg and plead and keep sweating with nobody to make them stay. If you want to go, by all means, go, baby. I'm not gonna kidnap you. I'm not gonna hold you against your will. Co-defendant looking at me like, "You a dumb bitch." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. If you got all the sense, then you should have made her stay. But the lady want to leave, let the lady leave." The girl leaves. Now it's just me, my co-defendant, and for the sake of this video, I'm gonna call this girl. I'm gonna call her Kay. So she sit on the couch. I'm looking at the girl. She had her hair like me. She had poetic. Well, back in those days, it wasn't knotless flats. People was wearing poetic justice braids. So she had her little poetic justice braids. She was very dirty looking. But through the dirt, I could see that she was a very pretty girl. She had very nice teeth. She had a cute little shape. Like, I could tell if she took a bath, she would probably be pretty. Well, she was pretty dirty or not, but I'm just saying she probably looked good if she was actually to clean herself up. So I'm like, "Hey, where did you find this girl at?" He was like, "Oh, she was on 95th Street in the hood with the guys. They was running a train on her." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah." So I told her, you might well, if you gonna let niggas do that to you, you might well get something out the deal. She told me she ain't had nowhere to go. I told her she can come back here and we was gonna help her out. I'm like, "We?" He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." At some point, we gotta start communicating better. Because if you're going to be making decisions that's going to be altering my livelihood as well, you need to let me know ahead of time. Because looking at this girl, I would have never invited her back to my house. Like, she was so filthy. She looked like she had been in the streets for months and weeks. And even through all that, I could tell she was young. Now, when I say young, I'm not saying she looked at 13, 14, nothing like that. But I could tell she was at the youngest 17, at the oldest no older than 18. I could tell just by looking at her. Nevertheless, child, when a man got his mind set on something, he's gonna do it. Even if it means the death of him, he is gonna do it. I was trying to figure out how I could add pictures to this video, but I'm gonna just drop the pictures in the comments because I actually got a picture of me and a girl. So I was able to find it off my old Facebook. I'm gonna drop it in the comments since I don't know how to put it in the video. And before I make part 4, I just want to, I want to know what some of you would have did if you was in my position. Because yes, I know I had a lot of red flags. I had a lot of signs. I had a lot of warnings before destruction, but I just kept on keeping on. And in the back of my head, I didn't know that the path I was going down would have led me to prison for 10 years. I did not know that. Even though it was a little sketchy, I had a lot of signs, I did not know that I was going to end up in prison. So before I make part 4, I just want some of y'all to hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you would have did. At what point would you have tried to, get out of the situation? Like, what would you have done if you was me? My co-defendant posted the girl on Backpage. So those of you who are familiar with the 304 era back in 2010, 11, 12, even early 13, y'all know Backpage is where the girls used to get their money. So my co-defendant put the girl on Backpage. We got a phone call. We jumped in the car. Well, before we jumped in the car, I put these eyebrows on this girl. I already had gave her something to put on. We just trying to make her look a little better than what she was before, and we jumped in the whip. So we slide into the customer, the client, whatever you want to call it, and they lived in Brown Sub. So when we get to the house, I'm telling her, I'm like, "Look, remember, you already know the game. Like, don't go in there playing no games. Like, here go this phone. If anything happen, call. We're gonna come and get you." She's like, "Oh, you already know I'm like, I know what to do. I got this. I'm not tripping. I'm not scared. I'm not whatever. I'm gonna make my money and I'm gonna leave." So I'm like, "All right, bet." So she go in the house. My co-defendant started rolling up. When I tell y'all, the man didn't even finish rolling the joint. The girl was getting back in the car. I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "Oh, I got the money. I'm done." I'm like, I'm looking at her hand. I see she got the money. I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I'm looking like, okay, you got the bread, like that was real fast. And my co-defendant, he's so excited. He's like, oh, she a vet for sure. She a vet for sure. Look how fast she went in there, got that money. I'm like, what happened? She was like, nothing, girl. I went in there, I did my thing, I got my money. I'm like, okay, whatever. So for whatever reason, I just was feeling uneasy in my heart. I'm like, it's no way you went in there and did nothing with nobody in 2 minutes and come back out and just like it's something happened. But she was adamant that, she went in there, did her thing. My co-defendant was happy as could be. He was like, oh yeah, we got us a vet. I'm looking at him like, you stupid. You sound damn stupid. But nevertheless, he wanted to keep answering the phone because we kept getting calls. He wanted to keep answering the phone. I'm like, I'm ready to call it a night. Like, we could just start again tomorrow. Like, I'm ready to call it a night. He's like, you sure? Mind you guys, it's April 1st, but it's like, at this point, it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning on April 1st. So the next day, we wake up, well, the next morning, it's still April 1st. The next morning, we wake up, and I go in the living room, and I see this girl done cut all the braids out her head. I'm like, what is going on? Like, who told you to take your hair out? She was like, oh, I made my money last night. I feel like I need to get my hair done so I could get back out there. I'm like, what? That's not how this go, honey. Like, just because you do one day, you make a few dollars, you think you're supposed to get something in return that fast? Like, it does not work like that. She was like, yeah, but them braids was old anyway, so yeah, I want to get my hair done. So I'm talking to my co-defendant. I'm like, man, this girl took the fucking braids out. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like she already out of pocket. Like, she need to. I don't think we should keep her. We shouldn't keep her. And he like, man, she got potential. Look how fast she went in there and handled that business last night. Like, we gonna keep her. I'm just gonna call Kat over here to do her hair. I'm like, Kat, you been talking to her? He was like, yeah, she been saying she want to come back and this and that. I'm looking at him like, fuck nigga, but whatever. So he calls Kat. Kat like, yeah, I'll come over there and do her hair. And I'm trying to work. She want to work tonight. That's what she was telling him. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. You can work. Like, everybody could get out there tonight. Whatever. We're gonna have a good night. So I'm like, okay, bet, whatever. So at some point, Kat come over there to my house. She's doing the girl hair. She made the girl look real pretty. She had a part down the middle, a little roller set. She was cute or whatever. And Rita had called one of her friends over there too. I don't know her name, but she wanted to work too. So in total, it was Kat, Rita friend, the girl, Kate, and me. So it's 5 of us in total. Was it 5? Me, Kat, Rita friend, and a girl. Yeah, it's 5 of us, and then my co-defendant. So it was 4 of us in the back seat. Kat was in the front, and my co-defendant was driving. And as soon as he put the little ad up, the phone started going crazy. So we got a client that wanna, do a little for a good amount of money. So we like, all right, we finna go over there. We finna go to this one first. That one was over there in these apartments on County Line Road. So we get to the apartments, and I'm looking for first of all, when we get to the apartments, everybody already comes to the conclusion, like they agree, I'm the one that's gonna go in there with the girl. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go in there, make sure she's straight. Whatever. Because whenever it's a situation like that, when we go into somebody's house, we don't never like to let we didn't never like to let nobody go in there by themselves. Always sent 2 people. 2 people in the phone. Because people be acting weird. But that was, that was just the protocol. So I'm like, all right, bet, I'll go in there with her. When we get there, I'm looking for the person. When I see the person, he looked like a G himself. He looked like he, older than 16. But he's like, oh yeah, we finna go in the lobby. In the lobby, they got a bathroom we can use. I'm like, okay. So we go in the lobby, and I see the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, you already know, Kate. Like, she was like, girl, you don't got to keep going through this with me. I already know. Purse first, ass last. I'm like, period. So she go in there, she do her thing, or allegedly do her thing. When I tell y'all, my ass wasn't even comfortably resting on the cushion before the door fly open, and I see them running out. And I hear the boy like, hell nah, I want my bread back. I want my bread back. She playing games. I'm like, well, what's going on? And I see the girl. She like, already tucked his dick one time and he came. Now he trying to fuck and nut again. It don't work like that. One nut, that's what it is. Whenever you nut, it's over with. Like, get my bread, I'm gone. I'm like, what? She was like, yeah, he trying to nut again. I'm telling him, I'm like, no, it can't work like that. He was like, yeah, but I paid for an hour. I'm like, it does not matter. Like, if you came before your hour was up, we got to go. Ain't nobody got time. What you want her to do? Keep sit there and talk to you and look at you for the hour in the bathroom? He was like, no, but I ain't come. I ain't even nut. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I get my phone. I'm calling my co-defendant. I'm like, man, this nigga saying he ain't nut. He asking for the bread back. I already know my co-defendant can say, he's like, you ain't giving no bread back. I'm already knowing. But I just, had to let him know that that's what was going on anyways. So, we walking back to the car. We damn near running back to the car, and the nigga on the other side of the parking lot walking us on the same, like the same direction as us, but he's on the other side. He's like, I'm gonna get y'all hoes. I'm gonna get y'all hoes. Y'all hoes got me fucked up. And he calling somebody on the phone and he's saying something. I'm like, bitch, you better come on. So I'm down there dragging her ass at this point to get to the car. When we get in the car, I'm furious because I'm the way the man was so mad. It was no way he really nutted. Like you couldn't have, even if you did nut that fast. Like I just never seen nobody be that mad about that amount of money. And he said he didn't get what he paid for. And the girl's like, I swear I did. I swear I did. But for some reason, I just don't believe her. Like I do not believe her. And I'm telling my co-defendant, I'm like, man, I don't believe her. Like, you know what? Tonight is over with. It's dead. We calling the night. All y'all hoes can go do y'all own thing on your own time. But I'm pushing it back to the crib. And everybody like, oh, you a party pooper China. You always coming here trying to run everything and always calling the shots. Like, we trying to get us some money. It's early and da-da-da-da. And I'm telling these hoes, I'm like, look, y'all hoes listen to me for a reason. Like, I'm not feeling the vibe. Let's just go home. Nobody don't want to fucking listen to me. While we still arguing in the parking lot, the phone ring again. The fucking person just happened to be down the street at the Stadium Hotel. And I'm telling them, I'm like, man, this feels like a setup. What's the coincidence? What's the odds that somebody gonna call for a date literally 3 minutes down the street from where we just came from? Everybody like, oh, you ruining the party, you blowing the vibe, you always you this, you that, you this and that. But my spidey senses is telling me this is a setup. I'm like, what a fucking coinky dink that somebody gonna call as soon as we leave these apartments, literally for another date in a date 3 minutes down the block. I'm telling my co-defendant the shit sound like a setup. I think it's a setup. Let's just go home. When he's so pressed for the bread, nah, we finna go get this money. We finna go get this money. I'm like, all right, whatever. We pull up to this fucking Stadium Hotel. Y'all, I tell y'all no lie, this shit was like a movie. We pulled into the Stadium Hotel in the front, like where you will park at to unload your stuff out your car. And when we pulled up, a BMW pulled in front of us. It was a 750 Li. I will never forget it. And a person jumped out the passenger side. Somebody jumped out the driver and somebody jumped out the passenger. But the passenger had this big ass AK-47 dog. Mind you, I'm in the back seat. It's like a movie. I'm watching this shit unfold before my eyes, but it's like somebody else's life. It felt like an out of body experience. It didn't feel like I was actually going through that. I see the man come around to my co-defendant side, which is the driver's side. He like, I want my bread. And I'm like, what the fuck? Mind you, as soon as we pulled up, I left this part out. Rita got out the car. Rita got out the car already and was going upstairs with the girl, with her friend, and they already had the phone because the people left the room number and everything in the message. So she already headed to this fake client because it wasn't a real client. It was a setup the whole time. So I'm blowing the horn. I done reached up, blowing the horn, trying to tell the hoe to come back. And she's so kind of, remember I told y'all she fucking slow. She not even paying attention. This man is at the fucking door with an AK-47. The girl in the back seat with me screaming for bloody murder. I'm like, bitch, shut the fuck up because it's your fault. Because if you would have, whatever you did to that man, you obviously pissed him the fuck off to where they really ready to come rob us back for the money he just gave us, bitch. At gunpoint in front of a fucking hotel with cameras. So everybody panicking. My co-defendant like, what's up? He gonna jump his happy-go-lucky ass out the car like he had a gun. Mind you, he ain't had no gun because he just threw his gun out the window like a few days before that because we was getting followed by the police and he didn't want the police to pull the car over and find the gun. So he threw the fucking gun out the car and when we went back to find it, he couldn't find the fucking gun. So anyways, he don't got no gun now. And he's going back and forth with the man like, I want my fucking bread. Da, da, da. I'm telling him it ain't no bread. The girl in the hotel got the bread. Yes, I did. I told him Quita had the bread. Go get Rita. Go get fucking Rita. Go get Curita. That's her name. And that's why I keep saying Quita by accident. Like I said, I told him the girl in the hotel got the money. I'm lying. I know the money is inside my co-defendant wallet, and I see the wallet. It's kind of like next to the middle console. So while he going back and forth with my co-defendant, I slide my hand and I grab the wallet. I'm thinking to myself, I cannot let this man take this wallet. If he take this money, we dead. We ain't got no money. Everything that we have that we've been earning since maybe like probably that Wednesday is in that wallet. Like I can't let him take the wallet. So I grab the wallet and I slide it under my dress. Whole time, Dum in the back seat, cowering and crying, and it's taking me a lot not to bow her ass in the face, because girl, this is your fault at the end of the day. My co-defendant is going back and forth with the nigga, and finally, by the grace of God, y'all, a bellboy came out the hotel. He came out the hotel and he was looking crazy because he see this man with this fucking gun. As soon as he came out, he walked right back in. I could tell that he locked the door. He went behind his little encounter, whatever the fuck that is you want to call it, and I know he was calling the police. When I seen that, I was happy, but I was nervous at the same time. I was nervous because I had a fucking warrant. I had a warrant from when I was living in Kissimmee with my ex-boyfriend. I had something with driving. Like, I think my license was suspended, or I got a ticket and they suspended my license. I never went back to court, so I ended up catching a warrant for that. So I'm like, fuck, if the police come, I'm gonna go to jail. But if the police come, probably save my life. So when the guy who got the gun pointed at my co-defendant and us in the car realized that the man seen what was going on and went back in and locked the doors, he reached past my co-defendant and snatched all the phones out the car. How he got all the phones? We had this splitter that had multiple chargers. So everybody's phone was on the charger. Literally, my phone was on the charger, Cat phone was on the charger, my co-defendant phone was on the charger. I think the other girl who went with Rita had her own phone, and then Rita had the work phone. So the nigga reached in and snatched the cord, which was connected to all the phones, and he was like, "You lucky I don't kill y'all ass." And he got it. They got in their car, and then they peeled off. So finally, after all this done went down, I see Rita dumbass finally get off the elevator, but the girl not with her no more. And I'm like, "Bitch, get in the fucking car, you dumb bitch." And I'm like, "Where the fuck is the girl?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know where she went. We got on 2 different elevators." I'm like, "How the fuck I can fuck that? We leaving this hoe." So as we leaving, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Wait. Don't go the way. At the time, I was staying in these apartments off of State Road 9 called Golden Glaze. So it was a straight shot from the Stadium Hotel. If we would have just got on, what is that? The 95, it would have let us right off by the Golden Glaze interchange, and we could have been right there by my house. And I'm like, something just told me don't go that way. I'm like, nah, don't go that way. We're going to take the long way, because what if them niggas is waiting by the underpass for us to pull off and they going to shoot at the car? And my co-defendant like, "Oh, you overreacting. And I'm like, bitch ass nigga, y'all been telling me I've been overreacting all night, and look, I seen the play before y'all dumbass people seen the play. So y'all listening to what the fuck I say, and we're not going that fucking way. So go ahead and take 27th Avenue all the way fucking down until you get to 151st, and then you're gonna get on State Road 9 and take me fucking home." I was like, we finna drop this hoe off, because she got to fucking go. You bad luck as fuck. Don't like your attitude. I don't give a fuck about your hair being done. She gotta go. And I was like, anybody else who wanna leave, feel free to fucking leave. So now that everybody quiet in the car, because they know I'm dead ass right. At the end of the day, I was right. I called the play out. We done got fucking robbed. Damn near got killed over literally nothing is worth losing your life, but the amount of money definitely was not worth it. So everybody like, you know what, whatever. If they mad, they ain't saying shit, because at this point a bitch better not say shit. I tell the girl, I'm like, you need to call somebody to come pick you up. Tell me where you want me to drop you off at, whatever the fuck the case is, but you got to get the fuck from around it. So she used the work phone to call somebody. I don't know who the fuck she called, but she was like, "Can you drop me off by North Miami High School?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can drop you off at NMB. Like, it's not a problem." So we dropped her off in North Miami High School, literally on the side of the high school, and I seen somebody in a white pickup truck pick her up. Never saw the girl again. I never saw the girl again. After that, went back home. Now, Rita friend, when she came over, she had bought her bag, like her dance bag. So she had all her clothes, like all her stripper clothes, her stripper shoes, her makeup. Like, she had a big bag full of shit, because she didn't know if we was going to go hit the club, or if they was going to, be in the street with her, whatever. But long story short, we get home, my co-defendant rolling up, and then Rita and Kat started going through the girl's shit. And she was kind of heavy. I couldn't fit none of her shit, but Kat and Rita had a good time going through her shit. She had a lot of makeup. They was playing, and it was like, she dead. Like, she ain't getting none of this shit back. I'm like, well, fuck the hoe anyway. She should have been on point. Like, how you gonna go in a hotel with somebody and you go on a separate elevator? That didn't make no sense, but whatever. So when all that's said and done, the next day it was business as usual. We went back to normal business, still posting on the website. I'm still dancing in the club. I'm doing my thing too from time to time, but for me it was a little easier because I had people that that specifically dealt with me and only wanted to deal with me, so it was not hard for me to get my money. But yeah, I was getting my money, and the girls was getting their money, and everything was going fine, y'all. But the thing was, Kat and my co-defendant could not get along. They would fight. They would put holes in my wall. Like, it was just so volatile, and it was to the point where I literally had to tell him, y'all gotta get out. If you're gonna continue dealing with this lady, all y'all gotta get the fuck out of my house. Like, Rita barely taking care of this fucking baby. I'm scared DTF gonna come kick in the door looking for the baby any day. Y'all keep putting holes in my walls. I'm gonna have to pay for the shit. The people calling the police, like it's just too much going on. Like I never had that much attention in an apartment, and at this point, like I just was feeling like it was an unhealthy environment for me to be in. So he finally, like, told Kat, like, look, we gotta go our separate ways. I tried to make it work, and shit ain't working. And as soon as he did that with her and she left, he came and he sat down with me. He told me, he was like, you know what this mean? I'm like, what does this mean? He was like, this means you have to get out there. Like, you're gonna have to start working more. Like, no more just in the club with it. Like, no more being sedity and picky. Like, you're gonna have to get out there and do something. And he was like, and I'm gonna hustle too. And I was like, okay, well, as long as everybody hustling, I'm not gonna complain, because everybody got to be bringing to the table so we can, keep living how we living, pay these bills, everything will be all right. So my co-defendant at the time, he was a pimp. He sold dope. He had a little fake little scam going on. Like, he had a lot of hustles, but he was not good at nothing. Like, he wasn't good at nothing. But he would try to do everything. So, he tried to open up a little trap or whatever. He had some homeboys that was selling dope or whatever, and he knew where he could get the work from, and he tried to open up a trap. Well, he did open up a trap. So one day I come home, my goddamn TV gone. My TV in the living room. I'm like, where the fuck is the TV? He was like, oh, well, I put it over there at the crib. I'm like, why the fuck would you take my shit and put it over there? Well, that's where I'm finna be at, hustling up, get this money up so we could be good. So, I didn't think you was gonna mind because you don't watch TV anyways. Bitch, I don't give a fuck if I never click the remote and turn the TV on. Why would you take my shit that I paid for and put it in a fucking trap? Like, it just was not making sense. I just, as the day started going by, like, I was hating my co-defendant. And he knew I was hating him. So every time we would get into a big argument, he would just come have sex with me, and he would just do all the nasty shit, eat my ass, and just spit in my mouth, and just do all this disgusting, nasty shit, and try to reel me back in. I don't know. I think he had voodoo on me. I don't know what it was, but he would do all this weird shit to reel me back in, and I would fall for it every time like a dummy.
Okay, guys, part 6 is very hard for me to talk about. As you can see, I've been crying. But the story got to be told. And I'm hoping that this story, the tears, one of you girlies, even if it just hit one of you girlies, I feel better about myself and what I went through. So as I was saying, Kat and my co-defendant kept fighting, and he gave me an ultimatum. Basically, he gave me a choice. I ain't gonna say he gave me an ultimatum. He opened up his little trap. I had to become more involved in the day-to-day operations because it was just me and Rita. We was back at square one. Things was piling up. Not really piling up, but things just was coming left and right. So I started going on dates, and my co-defendant actually set me up on my first real date. And it happened to be his friend. It was so weird because I had this thing about myself, like I would never bring no people to my house. Like that was like one rule I always said: we ain't gonna bring nobody where we lay our head. We could go to their house, we can go to hotels, but we ain't gonna never gonna bring them to my house. But on this particular day, I forget why he had his friends over. He had his friends over, and I was in a room because I usually stay in my room anyways. But I was in a room, and I walked in the kitchen for something. And when I walked in the kitchen, like all eyes was just on me. Mind you, Rita was out there entertaining them, but I guess like they haven't seen her for so many years around my co-defendant. Like she was kind of like, I guess they didn't want her, or if they had her, they didn't want her again. So I don't know how the conversation went between my co-defendant and his friend, but all I know is my co-defendant came in the room, he laid on the bed, and he was like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He was like, this hard for me. I'm like, what do you mean? What's hard for you? And he was like, you gonna be mad? And I'm like, mad about what? Like, what's going on? I was like, you messing with Rita? Because that would have been the only thing that pissed me off. Like, you messing with them girls. But if you, what are you about to tell me? And he was like, oh, one of my homeboys, he said you bad. Like, he really wants you. And I'm like, your homeboy? And he was like, I'm not going to look at you no type of way. Like, I love you. You my girl. I'm not going to look at you different. Like, that nigga got bread and you need to get it. I'm like, why Rita can't get it. And he was like, he don't want her, he wants you. And I'm like, oh my God. So you really asking me to do this? And he was like, yeah, like, don't even look at it like that. Don't think of it as nothing. Like, just get the nigga bread. He gonna clear it. I'm like, here? He was like, yeah, he already here. Like, why would you want to leave if he already here? And I'm like, man, I really don't want to do this. And I was like, well, how much you talking? He was like, that's for you. You got to discuss it with him, you know. And I'm like, really? Like, I'm really already not feeling this, but now you making me like, really, I gotta go through the figures with him too. And he was like, well, you know, you different. And I'm like, whatever. I was like, just give me some time, let me get right. And he was like, what you mean let you get right? Like, I'm gonna get you right now. So put my pants down, and he gave me some head, trying to get me in the mood. But the whole time, like, I just was not feeling it. Like, I just was in my head replaying my life over and over again, trying to figure out, how did I end up here in this situation? Like, this is so crazy and so far-fetched and so far left from where I expected myself to be at. But afterwards, he was like, go ahead, clean yourself up, and then I'm gonna send him in here. And I'm like, all right. So I went to the bathroom, you know, I rinsed myself off, like, lotion down, sprayed some spray on myself, and I went back in my room, I burnt the like, lit a candle or whatever, and I kept all the lights off because I didn't want to see him, and I really didn't want him to see me. But a few seconds after that, he came in, and when he came in, the hallway light was shining, so I ended up seeing him anyways, and he ended up seeing me, and I was just pissed. But when he came in there, I just was like, 8, and he was like, that's it? And I was like, you got more? And he was like, I'm good with the 8. And I'm like, all right. So he counted out me. He counted out the $800. He gave it to me. I put it in my little drawer next to my bed, and we had sex. And y'all, when I tell you, I ain't never felt so low in my life. Like, I just felt like the bottom of the barrel. Like, I think that day, that night is when I really, like, just stopped caring. I stopped caring about myself. Like, I can admit that I stopped caring about myself. Like, I just didn't care no more. He left. All the homeboys left, actually. And it was just so quiet afterwards. Like, Rita was in the room playing with her baby, and my co-defendant, he was in the living room smoking, and I just was sitting on my bed, in the middle of my bed, with my head on my knees. I had my legs pulled up, my head was on my knees, and I just was like, I don't want to do this, God. Like, I don't want to live my life like this. Like, I want to do better. But I just was so embarrassed. Like, none of my family, none of my friends knew what I was doing. Like, I'm pretty sure if anybody knew what I was doing, they would have been trying to, like, intervene or show me a way out. But my mom didn't even know I had quit my job. Like, my family and friends did not even know I quit my job. I quit school. Like, they did not even know none of this stuff was going on. So after that day, I just fell in line. Like, I just fell in line. I started doing more and more dates, and I would charge, you know, like, I would get paid good money. And I never handed him my money. Like, my co-defendant never accepted money from me, like, from hand to hand. I would always just put the money either in the middle console if we was in a car, or I would put it in a drawer. But I never, like, handed him the money, like, here. I guess I tried to separate myself or make myself feel like I wasn't working for nobody. But in actuality, that's just really what it was. Like, no matter how I tried to spin it and make myself feel like, oh, that's my man, like, he ain't pimping me. That's really what it was.
So, after we got rid of the girl, things just kept going, you know, as usual, how it was. And one day, this was April 18th. I'll never forget this day, y'all. We was asleep, and I heard this loud knocking at the door. So I told my co-defendant, I'm like, go see who's at the door or whatever. So he goes and checks the door. He comes running back to the room. He was like, it's the feds. I'm like, the feds? Why? It's the feds at my house. All I have is literally a traffic warrant. It's not making no sense as to why they going so hard about some traffic citations. So everybody in the uproar, everybody hiding stuff. He trying to flush his drugs. I'm throwing the phones, the little work phones that we had inside the holes that he done put in my wall. We just doing the most. I don't know why everybody was panicking, but we was panicking. Finally, Kat goes to the door. She opened the door. They're like, everybody on the ground, everybody on the ground. How many people in here? They going ham. And Rita like, I can't get on the ground. I got my baby. He was like, so one of the agents was like, everybody on the ground except for you. You sit on the floor right here outside the door with the baby. So as we going out the house, they zip tying everybody. They zip tying everybody and they asking everybody their name. And then they got one person with a laptop. I guess they was like verifying who we were or whatever the case was. So I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, do y'all have a warrant? They was like, of course we have a warrant. I was like, well, can I see it? So they put the paper in my face and I'm looking at it and it says criminal complaint. And they had a warrant to search the house and they were looking for weird things. And I'm like, what is this in regards to? And it was like, did you read? So I stopped talking to him and I looked back at the paper and it said that the indictment, the criminal complaint was for human trafficking. And I'm like, what? Ain't nobody in here being trafficked. And like, I don't understand why would y'all be at my house? I'm like, y'all sure y'all got the right place? It was like, oh yeah, China, we know exactly where we at. So now I'm throwed off because these people don't call me by my nickname. My co-defendant, he's sitting down, he's telling me to he like, don't say nothing. I'm like, all right, whatever. So after they finally get everybody at the house, they ran everybody's name. They found out that I had a warrant, which I already knew, and then we found out that Kat had a warrant. So it's like, we're just gonna take you guys down to the station for questioning. You're not under arrest at this time. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So we go down to the station, and I did not have no clue that the feds literally had a whole headquarters right here in North Miami. Like, I did not know that it looked like an industrious building, but the whole time it was a headquarters, a FBI headquarters. So we in there, and they're questioning me about, drum roll please, the girl. So I'm like, yeah, I saw this girl one time. She came to my house one time, she left. She didn't even stay a whole 24 hours. Like, what's the issue? Oh, she's a minor. I'm like, a minor? How old is she? And it was like, oh, she's 17. I'm like, I've been fucking since I was 14. But whatever, we're not gonna get it. We're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? The legal age limit is 18. She wasn't 18. So I was like, okay, so what's being said? Oh, she said that you was trafficking her, and you had multiple girls in your house, and it all was working for you. And I'm like, what? That is absolutely bogus. I was like, as you can see, everybody in my house is of age, and if you question those people, they're gonna tell you, like, I'm not trafficking anybody. Like, everybody doing their own thing. And come to think about it, I just met these people 2 months ago, and they was like, oh, you only been on them for 2 months. I'm like, yeah, I literally met my co-defendant on Valentine's Day, like literally 2 months ago. So it's been 2 months and 4 days since I met this group of people. Speaking of your co-defendant, they didn't say co-defendant, they said his name, but I'm not saying his name in this video. So they was like, speaking of your co-defendant, he's not a citizen, and did you know that that's not his real name? I'm like, no, I didn't know that wasn't his real name. So something told me to just look to my right, and when I looked on my right, the door was open, so I could see straight across to where my co-defendant was at, and he over there like, don't say nothing, don't say nothing. So I guess the lady that was interrogating him saw him, so they closed the door, so now I couldn't see him no more. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know that about him, but at this point, like, I would prefer to just have a lawyer, because I really don't know what's going on, and I don't want to say nothing that's gonna get me in trouble. So the lady was trying to convince me. She was like, I'm telling you, this is your opportunity to save yourself. She was like, I see these situations all the time. You young girls come in here and you try to be this ride or die, you're gonna end up spending the rest of your life in prison, and that man that you're protecting, he's gonna move on, he's gonna go have kids, and you're gonna get old in prison. I'm like, what the fuck? I want a lawyer. So long story short, they wrapped the interrogation up. Of course, I didn't go home because I had the warrant, so they transferred me and Kat to the county jail or whatever. As soon as we get in the jail, after the mugshot, the screening, all that, I'm panicking. I get the phone, I start calling everybody I know. I call everybody except for my mom, because remember, I told you guys she didn't know what type of, foolishness I was involved in. So she was the last resort. But I'm calling around, trying to see who could pay my bond or whatever. And then I found out that since it was so late, I was not going to go to court or see no judge or get bond out anything until Monday anyway. So I kind of like just chilled out and relaxed. That night, I didn't get no rest, y'all. I was tossing and turning on that thin ass cot, just thinking like, oh my God, the feds, like trafficking, like I don't know nothing about prison, jail. I've never been to jail. This is my first time going to jail. I'm just tripping. I'm literally 20 years old. Like I'm barely jumped off the porch. And Kat, she's just like, girl, I ain't tell them nothing. I know Rita ain't tell them nothing. They asked about that girl. Y'all should have never went and got that girl. I'm like, y'all, I didn't go get the girl. My co-defendant is the one who brought the girl to my house. Like, he bought her. She was in the car with him when he picked me up from the club. I don't know this girl. All I know is he said she was on 95th Street getting a train ran on her. That's it. That's what I'm telling Kat. And she was like, y'all, you see, that's what y'all get. Trying to do too much. We was good before we met you. I'm like, bitch, y'all is the reason why I'm even involved in this, because I didn't do nothing like this until I met y'all. Like, I was not involved in nothing like this until I met y'all. So me and her just was not seeing eye to eye about it. We go to ourselves. The next day we come downstairs. I'm like, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna call my mom, because I don't know how far this gonna go, but if anybody gonna be in my corner, I know it's gonna be my mom. So I call my mom and explained it to her. She was like, wow, baby girl, you just told me that you was into some stuff, and now look, you in jail. She was like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna come get you. Don't worry about nothing. We're gonna come get you or whatever. As soon as Monday hit, we'll be there to come get you. And I'm like, okay. Because I believe it was Easter weekend that weekend. That Friday, April 18th, it was Good Friday. And Easter was that Sunday. So she was like, on Monday, I'm gonna come get you. I'm like, all right, man. So I just had to wait for Sunday to come. And then when Monday came, sure enough, I got bonded out. Y'all, when I got back to my house, I was in utter disbelief. When I tell you those people had ransacked my house from the ceiling to the floor, like, it's like they was just in there like, fuck this, fuck that, throwing everything everywhere, destroying everything, and they took so much stuff from my house. And I was just like, what is going on? And when my co-defendant finally came over, he just was like, man, what did you say? What did you say? What did they tell you? What did they tell you? I didn't tell him nothing that they told me about him. I was like, I didn't tell them nothing. I just told them that I met the girl at the club, which was a lie. I should have told them the truth. But I told them that I met the girl at the club. She came home with us for one night, and that was it. Not even a full 24 hours. And he was like, oh. I said, what did you tell them? He was like, I ain't tell them shit. I ain't say nothing at all. And I'm just looking at him like, nothing at all. He was like, no, I didn't say nothing at all. I was like, they didn't ask you nothing about me? He was like, yeah, they was trying to ask me, but I didn't say nothing. And I was like, okay. So the week went by. Every day of the week we kept seeing the agents telling us they was in these unmarked black Yukon trucks and expedition trucks, like with dark tents. Like, you could just tell that it was them. And everywhere we went, they were behind us. And my co-defendant kept saying, we need to run. I'm like, what the fuck we gonna run at? We don't have thousands upon thousands of dollars to run. Like, how are we gonna run? I'm like, I'm not running nowhere. I was like, my mom bought me out. I'm not trying to make her lose her money or, whatever it is she put up for me to get out. No, I'm not running. I'm like, I didn't do nothing at the end of the day. He was like, yeah, you're right. We didn't do nothing. And we just gonna let shit play out how it's supposed to. Y'all, I'd be damned if these people didn't come back and book us literally a week after I got bonded out. I got bonded out on, actually, it wasn't even a week. I got bonded out on 18, 19, 20. On the 21st, the people came back and got me on April 25th. When I tell you, it's nothing more scarier than when somebody walks you inside of a room, close the door behind you, and lock it. Y'all, your anxiety is just through the roof. The person that's in the room with you is looking at you like you got 5 heads. The room is literally like, I guess, 8 by 5. The toilet, the sink, the bed, the little table that they call a desk that I end up using as a kitchen table, a stove, and everything else for the next 10 years, all that is in the same room. It was just so cold. When I tell y'all I walked in them people prison looking crazy, I had no hair, no lashes, no nails. My lips was chapped. My stomach was in knots.
I probably was musty because I was sweating so bad, y'all. It was just, oh my God, petrifying. And all I could do was ask myself, how did I let myself get here? From literally valedictorian, graduating at the top of my class, having my own everything, literally traveling, having the time of my life, popping my shit, to federal prison. This was big, y'all. This was big. Even right now, as I tell y'all, I just still cannot believe I really went to federal prison behind somebody I didn't even know for a whole 3 months. That's diabolical. But anyways, when that officer locked me in that room and I sat on that bed, I had a lower bunk pass. I sat on the bed and the bunkie, this person whose room I was in, they was on the top bunk looking down at me. I'm looking at them and they just like, you all right? I'm like, no. And I don't want to talk. Y'all, I just don't even know how to put it into terms as far as like how I was feeling on the inside. But anyways, that night went by so fast. The next day I couldn't wait for them doors to open because I was like, I gotta get the fuck out this room. Like, I can't, why are they locking us in this room all night? It just was unreal to me. When the doors popped the next morning, I flew out the room. I didn't even know where I was going, y'all. I just walked out and was walking around looking crazy, looking stupid. And I went to the officer's station and I was asking them, like, how do I use the phone? And they was telling me, oh, you got to get a pack number. You got to do this. You got to do that. I'll print it out for you. And one of the girls could show you how to use it. And I'm looking around like, oh, my God, I want to ask these bitches to show me nothing. But I end up seeing the girl that I was in the room with. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, can you show me how to register the phone so I could call my mom? And, you know, I just needed to get on the phone. I got to make a few calls. So she went over there. She showed me how to record my voice. I had to say my voice like 3 times because it kept cracking. And I finally got through. Once I finally got through, then she told me I had to go to the computer and save the numbers in the computer in order to be able to call the numbers. So I had to go to the computer, wait in line. It's a line for everything in prison, by the way, y'all. Wait in line. Finally got on the computer, and it was like a 15-minute time limit. Like, you had 15 minutes to do whatever you had to do before it logged you out. So I'm like, fuck. I'm trying to remember I knew my mom number, but I was trying to remember everybody else's number who I needed to put in. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, damn, once it log out, that's it. I didn't know how long I had before I could get back on. I didn't know if somebody else was going to be like, oh, you got to wait again. Like, I didn't know what the fuck. So I'm just trying to remember numbers to put them in the computer. And when I finally got my numbers in, I had to go back to the phone line and wait again. Finally, y'all, about, I say like maybe 2 hours later, I was able to get on the phone. I called my mom. I started crying, y'all. I was bawling, like, I was crying so bad because I was like, I cannot believe this. My mom was so hurt. She was like, oh, baby, it's hurting me so bad to hear you crying right now. She just kept saying, what happened? What happened? I kept telling her, Mom, I don't want to talk about it. The lady said the phone is recorded. Like, just come see me in person. She was like, well, when can I come see you? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Once I get, like, everything I need to know as far as, like, the visitation schedule, commissary, everything, I'm going to let you know. And she was like, okay. She was asking how I was holding up. I was telling her I was feeling kind of sick because I really was, y'all. I was feeling sick. And she was asking me, was there any way I can go to, like, the doctor or the hospital in the prison? And I was like, when I hang up with you, I'm going to ask my bunkie, how do I go about, like, putting in, like, a sick call? Because I felt really sick, y'all. I was not feeling good. So the day went by. I'm just sitting down watching TV. I couldn't hear nothing because you had to have, like, radio headphones to hear the TV, so I'm just reading the words. I was watching TV, but I really wasn't really watching. I just was there. And then people started coming up to me, asking me where I was from and what I did and how long I'm gonna be there. And I'm looking at them hoes like, listen, I am not in the mood. Like, I know this is probably how people do when somebody come to prison. Everybody just try to come and get in their business, but I just was not. I wasn't with it. So I would say my first few nights in prison, it felt like a dream, y'all. I could not believe it was butter. Everything just was going by as a blur. Everything went by so quick. I went to arraignment, bond got denied again, and I would say about 30 days into it, my co-defendant got released. So it was a Sunday. I went out the room. I went to the computer, and I saw an email from my mom saying, blank, blank, just got out. I'm on my way to go get him. And I'm like, okay, this is good news. Like, if my co-defendant getting out, I'm getting out. Because there's no way you can have a conspiracy with just one person. So that whole day, I just was so happy. I was telling my bunkie, I was like, I'm finna go home. I'm gonna email my lawyer, ask him when he gonna put my motion in to dismiss the indictment. Because if they let my co-defendant out, I know they're gonna let me out, y'all. I was just elated. My lawyer didn't write me back that day, but the following day, when they popped the doors for us to go out, I tried to call him, he didn't answer, so I went to the email, and I see he had wrote me back. He told me he did put in a motion for them to dismiss the indictment. So I was like, okay, this is good news. He was telling me it could take days, it could be weeks, just be patient, just try to, fall into the line of things. And then they did a sick call. So I stood in line for the sick call, and I went downstairs to the medical department. So I get downstairs, it's cold, it's I don't know what. I got on this little ugly green jumper. It's a one-piece ugly green jumper, and the medical people called my name. So I'm walking over there, and he was like, okay, we're going to have you do a urine test. We're going to have you do this. We're going to have you do that. We got to do all this physical shit or whatever. So I did the urine test. I did my physical or whatever, and I went back out to wait. And then, like, maybe 30, 45 minutes later, one of the people called me back there again. It was like, you're pregnant? And I'm like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, you could do another test if you want, but these tests are pretty accurate, and your sample came back as pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. You mean to tell me this man done gave me a baby on top of this big ass charge that I'm facing? So now in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a whole different ball game, because it's not just me anymore. I got a whole person growing inside of me that I'm going to have to consider. Like, if I go to jail, if we stay in jail, who's going to take care of my baby? My mom was kind of old. Like, a lot of stuff was just going through my head. So everybody been writing me, asking me literally every day, what's going on with part 9? Am I going to finish the story? And I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate y'all being patient with me. Happy New Year's. I hope everybody had a good holiday. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off and continue where I left off at, with how I became a 304 and ended up serving 10 years in federal prison. So as I said in part 8, I found that I was pregnant. Once I found that I was pregnant, y'all, I didn't know what I was going to do. I know I didn't have too many options. It's not like I could have got an abortion in prison, but I didn't know what I was going to do as far as, like, if I didn't get out, who was going to take care of the baby? If I did get out, what, like, you know what I'm saying? What was I going to do with a baby, with a man I barely even knew? So it was a lot of things going through my mind. And I couldn't really register the severity of the charge that I had. So in my mind, I'm still thinking, I'm finna get out. My co-defendant got out. I know they're going to dismiss this indictment and they're going to let me out. Tell me why they did not let me out, y'all. The people superseded my indictment. They came back with just one defendant on it, and it was me. They dropped all the charges against my co-defendant, and they put everything on me. I didn't know why they felt like they had enough evidence to put everything on me. So at this point, I'm telling my lawyer, you know what, we're going to trial, because there's no way y'all can just say I did all this that this girl is saying I did with no proof. So I was ready to go to trial. About 4 weeks, no, it was like 5 weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I got into a fight. Over the microwave, because as I said before, it's a line for everything in prison. So I'm standing in line, you know, I got my potato all wrapped up in the bag, I got my cardboard, I'm ready to warm my food up, and this damn, I don't know what she was. I don't know if she was Haitian or Jamaican, but she was a black girl, and she came and she told me she already had her stuff there. Mind you, I did see some stuff on top of the microwave. She was like, my stuff was there already. And I'm like, well, you weren't here, and I'm here now, and I'm finna warm my food up. As soon as this lady get from in front of me, I'm gonna put my potato log in there and warm my food up. And she was like, no, I'm going in the microwave. I'm making my fried rice. You see all my stuff right there on top of the microwave. All I did was go to the room. And I said, all you did was fucked up when you walked away from the microwave. I'm not about to wait for you to do what you got to do, especially frying the rice. So she was like, well, you ain't going in this microwave. And I'm like, okay, we gonna see. seat. So y'all, at this point, I'm bracing myself. I'm about to put the potato log down on the little desk because I'm going in this microwave. And the Spanish mommy in front of me, she's trying to tell me like the girl was there, she did leave. I don't give a fuck about who left what, because at the end of the day, we're in prison. If you move, you lose, baby. Ain't nobody holding your spot. If I had to wait in this line for this lady to finish making these fucking arepas or whatever the fuck she was making, you gonna have to wait for me to finish cooking my potato log. I stood there and waited. I didn't go put my food on the microwave, walk around, do all extra shit until it was my turn. I waited patiently. So at this point, I'm telling myself in my head, if this lady thinks she finna go in this microwave, it's gonna be a fucking problem. Mind you, y'all, I'm already mad. I'm miserable as fuck. I'm pregnant. I'm looking at a big ass sentence. Like, I got other shit going on too, and I'm pretty sure she had other shit going on. Everybody got shit going on. You in prison, for crying out loud. However, it's a respect. It's a way you do things, and I ain't like the way she came at me. Even like, I just felt like if she would have came at me differently, like, hey, excuse me, I set my stuff down. I just went to go get my seasoning, whatever the case was, I probably would have been more understanding. But you coming, oh no, I'm next. No, bitch, you're not next. You're gonna be behind me. So Spanish mommy in front of me, she getting her food out the microwave, you know, she putting everything in her little bowls. And y'all, when I tell you, as soon as the lady moved, like she probably took one step away from the microwave, the girl, she kind of like bumped me out the way and had her hand on the door to the microwave, opening the microwave to put her food in. When I tell you, I took that motherfucking potato log and I whopped that hoe across the head with that potato log. Bitch, don't you ever fucking play with me like that. I was mad too, because now my food fucking wasted. Like, it just was too much going on. So as soon as I whacked that hoe upside the head with the potato log, I just started swinging on that bitch. I started swinging. Y'all, when I tell you, that hoe told me every way but loose. It was crazy, because I'm thinking to myself, I know I could fight. So if a bitch could fight, like if a bitch could tussle with me or whoop me, that hoe got hands for real, because I know I could really fight. Like, I could fight. So I'm going blow for blow with this hoe, but I feel like she's getting the best of me, because mind you, y'all, I'm frail thin. I don't weigh no more than 139 pounds. I ain't got no help for her to grip on, so she wasn't even trying to grab my hair. She just literally was swinging with all her might, and I'm swinging, and we literally right by the officer station, so I can hear all the commotion. I can hear the girls. I can hear the officer calling the radio for people to come up there for them to separate us. But I also felt that the girl was punching me in my stomach. Like, this hoe was literally punching me in my stomach on some uppercut type shit, like a wrestler. And I'm like, this bitch, do she know I'm fucking pregnant? This hoe trying to kill my fucking baby. So finally the officer came and broke us apart. When the lady was pulling us apart, I scratched that hoe across her face like Scar off Lion King. I gave that hoe a $1.50 with my nails. My real nails. Because, you know, I didn't have on, they made me take my acrylics off when I was downstairs, but I had some nice strong ass nails, and I scratched that hoe right across her face, like gave that bitch a $1.50, made that hoe look like Scar of Lion King. But I ain't gonna lie, I feel like she got the best of me because of the angle we was at and the way she was swinging. I'm throwing straight blows, trying to hit that hoe on her face. That hoe was hitting me everywhere. Everywhere she could land the blow is where she landed the blow at. So she punched me all in my stomach and all type of shit. So afterwards, the other officers came running upstairs, and they handcuffed her, they handcuffed me, and they got one of us in the hallway, one of them still in the dorm. They made everybody lock down, everybody to the rooms, everybody locked down. The one sergeant come out there and talk to me. She's like, what's going on, what happened? I said, she pushed me while I was waiting to put my food in the microwave, and she was like, why didn't you go to the office? And I'm like, why would I go to the office if somebody pushed me? I'm gonna push their ass back. And she was like, oh, well, you know, you finna go to the shoe. I'm like, what the fuck is the shoe? She was like, it's the hole, it's segregation. And I'm like, all right, whatever, like, do what y'all gotta do, just make sure y'all lock my stuff. And she was like, don't worry about your stuff, we're gonna secure your stuff. She was asking me, did I have a lock on my locker in the room? And I was like, no, but I don't got too much stuff in there. It's just the stuff that I do have, like my paperwork for my lawyer, things like that, my contacts. Like, I want all my stuff. And she was like, yeah, don't worry about that, you'll get it when you get upstairs. So I was like, all right, bet. So they ended up taking me on the elevator, and then we went upstairs. When I get upstairs, they telling me that I got a strip, squat and cough, and they put me on this orange little outfit or whatever. They give me a little robe. It's an orange blanket. I don't know what was else wrapped up in it, but I know it was a big orange blanket, and they locked me in this room. Okay, so I'm looking out the window, and I can see the Metro Rail. I could see the Metro Rail from where I was at. I could see like the whole downtown Miami from the room that I had, and I was glad. I was like, okay, at least I got a window that I could see, because the window in my cell downstairs, I only could see the parking lot, the employee parking lot. So I'm like, all right,
I'm looking at the bed. It's a little small ass white bed frame with a thin ass mattress. When I tell y'all the mattress was so thin, they literally slid that bitch through the door to give it to me. They slid it through the slot. Like the door had a slot that flaps down. They could put a food tray on it. They folded the bed up and pushed it through there. That's how thin the bed was. They put the bed through the door. They gave me the bed or whatever. They was like, go through my stuff, make sure I got like a sheet to put on the bed, make sure it's like soap, a toothbrush, and I guess like a washcloth, a pair of shorts and a shirt and a pair of socks inside the robe. I would say I looked, I see everything, and it was like, all right, you need anything else? I'm like, I'm all right. I just want my stuff from downstairs. They was like, you ain't gonna get that till much later. I'm like, all right, whatever. So y'all, as soon as I got in the motherfucking shoe, as soon as I got upstairs, when I was walking to the room, I seen people looking out their windows like, who the fuck is that? And mind you, y'all, I'm looking like motherfucking Whoopi Goldberg. I ain't got no type of hair on the top of my head, no lashes. I'm looking crazy as fuck. But them people still like could probably see my beauty or whatever. So as I'm sitting on my bunk, I see a string with a little piece of paper attached to it come flying under my door. And I looked, I went to the window to look out to see where it came from, and I see this shit came from all the way across the hall. So the lady pointing down telling me to grab the paper. So I grabbed the paper, I opened up, and she was like, let it go. So I detached the string from the paper, and she snatched the string back under the door, and I'm reading the paper or whatever. And she was like, you from Miami? On the letter it said, you from Miami? What happened? How long you been here? And I'm like, who the fuck is that over there asking me where I'm from, what happened, how long I been here, y'all? I'm just like flabbergasted at this point because I don't know nobody in prison, bitch. So who the fuck is that asking me questions as if they know me? It was very weird. So I go back to the door and I'm looking to see if the lady gonna come back to the door, but she never came back to the door. So I was like, what the fuck? How I'm supposed to get a response back to the bitch? She don't even come. Like, I don't know how to make the string long and how to throw the shit across the hall so she can get it. At the time, I didn't know that was called fishing, y'all. So the girl never came back to the door. I sat on my bed. I just started, like, you know, chipping the paint off the wall, just, you know, like trying to get acclimated to where I was gonna be. I didn't know how long I was gonna be there. I didn't know what was gonna go on. I said around, it was like 4 o'clock. I heard them come up there. They told us to stand up for the count. So we all stood up for the count. Right after the count, they came and served us our little lunch tray. They came back and got the tray like 10 minutes later, so you barely had time to eat the shit. But once they came back and got the trays and everything got back quiet, I sat on my bunk, and out of nowhere, my stomach just started hurting real bad. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the shit that I just ate, did it, like, you know, it's not sitting well with me. I gotta shit. So I went and I sat on the toilet, and I'm just rubbing my stomach, trying to, like, you know, loosen up whatever bowels I'm thinking was about to come out. Tell me why I had a fucking miscarriage on the toilet in the shoe. And I'm just like, damn, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I'm knowing it's a miscarriage because I'm bleeding and it's a big ass blood clot in the toilet, but I'm not really registering like, oh my god, I just had a miscarriage. Like, it's kind of like I'm in shock. So I'm sitting on the toilet, my stomach is cramping, I'm bleeding, and I'm trying to use the tissue to make like a pad because they didn't give me no pad, because I want to go to the door and press the button so, you know, one of the guards can come up there. And when I go to the door, I see the lady across the hall. Now it's a dark, from what I can see, she's a dark skinned girl. She had like a piece of shirt, like ripped off shirt tied around her head, and she had tattoos in her face. And I'm like, this lady looks so familiar. Who the fuck is that over there with them damn tattoos in her face? But at this point, I just was more concerned about getting a guard here. So she looking across from me, and she's like, you good? Yelling through the door. And I'm like, I need a guard. And she was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I think I'm having a miscarriage. And she's like, you pregnant? I'm like, I need a fucking guard. So I'm hitting my button. I guess she hit her button, and the guards probably came out their little office. They went to her door, turned her alarm off, and they went to my door. They was like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm having a miscarriage. I need to go to medical. They was like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I'm bleeding everywhere. It's a big ass blood clot in the toilet. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm having a miscarriage. So they tell me to just sit back down. They're gonna call medical. They gotta get a little chair for me to sit in to push me down or whatever, a little wheelchair or whatever. So I'm in pain, y'all. My stomach is hurting like a motherfucker. Like it feel like period cramps, but worse. Like almost like labor pains to me. I don't know. My pain tolerance level is not high, so I'm in pain at this point. So they get upstairs with the little medical wheelchair. They take me to medical, whatever. I lay on the table. I'm handcuffed the whole entire time, and the doctor is looking inside of me, and she's like, she took like a tool that they use when you get in a pap smear and opened up my cervix, and she's like, oh yeah, you definitely miscarried. And she was telling me that they needed to prescribe me some medicine to make sure like all the tissues come off the uterine wall. They was like, you're gonna take a prescription for a medicine called misoprostol and mifepristone. It was 2 medications that start with an M. When I get off this, I'm gonna look it up and post it in the comments. And it was basically saying like that's to, you know, make sure like all of the baby come out, because if I don't, I could get sick, it could lead to infections, and then, you know, it could be deadly for me or whatever. So y'all, would you believe I started crying? I had like one tear rolling down my eyes. I was actually sad. I'm like, oh my god, I just lost my fucking baby fighting with this dirty bitch in the unit. So now I'm like, you know what, I'm finna whoop this whole ass when I go back downstairs, because I was like, this bitch just killed my fucking baby. And then God told me in my ear, you just killed your own damn baby, because you ain't have to hit that lady with that damn potato log. And I was like, yeah, you right, God, I did that on my own. And then I started thinking, you know what, maybe it was meant to be, because at the end of the day, Lord knows, I was not ready to have no baby. I was 20 years old. I didn't know my co-defendant like that. My mama was old as hell already, and I was looking at a big ass sentence. So, you know, that was not going to be the most opportune time for me to have a child any fucking way. So they kept me down there for like 8 hours till they felt like I was cool enough to go back upstairs. They sent me back upstairs. This time I got passed. They gave me extra peonies, because they told me I'm gonna bleed like my period. They told me after taking the medicine for about 2 days, my period's gonna come. It's gonna be like my period is going or whatever. So I go back in the room and I'm just laying on the bed sad. And then I heard something hit the door. Boom! I look, it's another fucking little triangle attached to a string, like a cloth string. I look this time, I see the girl more clearly. And she pointing down, telling me to get it. I get it. She was like, bitch, this Keisha. I'm like, Keisha. And I'm trying to remember all the Keishas that I know in my life. And I'm like, this gotta be the Keisha from Troy Academy, from when I went to this alternative school, high school, back in the day. I'm like, Singletary? I yelled it through the door. She was like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is this bitch doing here? So she's like, girl, read the paper. So I read the paper or whatever. She was like, girl, they got me in here on some crazy ass charges, fucking with this little hoe. These niggas set me up to get robbed the same night. She was like, I don't know what's going on. I've been in here for about 3 weeks. She was like, they won't even let me use the phone. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I was trying to tell her, I go back to the door. I'm under the door. I'm like, come to the door. I'm like, I don't got nothing to write with in here. She was like, all right, she gonna send me a piece of paper and a pencil in the next fish or whatever. And I'm like, all right. So I let the line go back. She pulled it back quick as fuck. Put the pencil, put the paper, threw it back under the door. Boom, I got it. So I'm like, girl, I'm in here on a crazy ass charge too. And I had got robbed too. I got robbed right before getting indicted too. I was like, I wonder if it's the same fucking people. And she was like, yeah, girl, I was with this young girl and they got us caught up. She was like, but it's like 20 niggas on my case. And I'm like, well, I don't know, like, if these is the same people, because it was just me and my co-defendant on my case, and now it's just me on my case or whatever. So she's like, how long you been here, and what unit they got you in, and da 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 da. So we just was talking back and forth like that. Y'all, tell me why the same Keisha that I'm talking to right now through the fish is the girl that's in my paperwork, in my discovery. So I don't know if y'all know, but when you go to federal prison, they do a PSI. It's called a pre-sentence investigation report. And in that PSI, they tell you the backstory as to how you even come to be getting indicted in the first place. So in my PSI, it said around April around April 3rd or 13th, 2024, the victim in my case was found with the girl Keisha at a hotel. They had got a tip saying that it was an underage girl in the hotel, and when they got to the hotel, they found the underage girl, and they found Keisha, and they found a bunch of niggas, and they had drugs, they was doing porn. It was like a lot of shit going on in the room. So they ended up taking all the dudes to jail in the room, but they took Keisha and the girl down to the station. Now Keisha was able to lie to the police and tell them, oh, she's a minor, you know, she was a runaway, she don't have no family, whatever. So the police actually dropped Keisha and the girl off to a shelter, dropped them off together to a shelter, let them go, and they focused their investigation. They focused their investigation on the guys that was in the room. I guess they end up running Keisha's name and finding out that she's really not an adult. I mean, she's really not a minor. And once they did that, they alerted the federal authorities, because now it's looking like a trafficking situation. So some way, somehow, the feds started back watching Keisha, and just so fucking happened, they did a sting. The victim, in my case, which is also the victim in her case, wrote her on Facebook, or the feds had the girl write her on Facebook. I don't know who actually sent the message and was like, oh, can you come pick me up? I'm ready to get some money. I need a phone. Da, 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 da. And Keisha was like, oh yeah, I can come pick you up. She goes and get the girl. The same girl that you just found out is a minor. You just was at the police station. You know, they just told you that this girl is a little girl. She's a minor. She's not 18. And you go back and pick her up and try to post her again on Backpage. Needless to say, they came and booked her ass. But when they booked her, they started questioning the girl more in depth and asking her, like, hey, you've done this before? Like, who else have you worked with? Why did you go back? Like, what's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? And she ended up telling them she used to work for a girl named China and her boyfriend, which is how I came into the investigation. TikTok is finna shut down, y'all, but not before I get into part 11 on how I became a 304 and ended up spending 10 years in federal prison. So, I'm fresh off of work. I'm looking a little rough, but we gonna get into it. So, like I was saying, I was in a hole and I ended up meeting the girl that was in my paperwork, basically as the person who was the reason I got indicted in the first place. When I got out of the shoot 30 days later, they let her out about 2 weeks after me, and when she finally came to the unit, I was like, oh my god, this lady looked crazy. She was skinny, she had all these tattoos in her face, all these tattoos everywhere, and I thought I was bald like a chicken. Baby girl was skint. But that's neither here nor there. We started talking, and I started, you know, asking her questions like, what happened? Because I know that girl was only at my house for one day. Like, she must have been with you for a long time, because if she was with me from April 1st to April 1st, and I got indicted April 18th, like, she was with you the whole time. And she was like, yeah, I was working that hoe, I ain't gonna lie, I was pimping that hoe. She was literally like admitting, and I was like, oh my god, I was appalled, because I'm like, girl, you was really like out here in the street. She was like, yeah. She was like, the girl was wild, she lied about so much. She told me she was 18, I didn't know she was 17, but it is what it is. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm like, you pleading guilty? She was like, girl, yeah, I'm pleading guilty. So now you guys, I'm already sentenced. Was I sentenced already? I was already sentenced. She got sentenced after me, and they ended up giving her, I believe it was 13 and a half years. So at this point, I'm getting ready to go to prison. They done told me to pack out. I'm getting ready. I done got designated to my prison. I'm about to go to my prison. The first prison I went to was Aliceville. It's in Alabama. It was a new female prison. It had only been open like maybe 2 years by the time I got sentenced or whatever. So I get to this prison, and at first I was like anti-gay. Like, I'm not messing with no girls. I'm here to do my time. I'm finna be in my Bible and try to get closer to God. I was in the blue shoes, y'all, and I had my legs in a V. I still was in the blue shoes, like JT coming through R&D, and I had my leg in a V. I could not, I don't know, it was like a demon possessed me as soon as I got on that prison ground, because I had a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend, and honestly, having a girlfriend in prison, it just like make your time go by. Like, you fall into a routine, and it's kind of like you home. You get up, you know, you take a bath, brush your teeth, do your makeup. You either gonna go to work or you gonna go to school. If you got a girlfriend, you finna go cook her food. Y'all gonna link up for lunch. Like, it just kept me busy the whole time. So I fell into the routine of things. And my first girlfriend at the prison I went to was this girl named Rico. She was a stud. Rico was from New York. If you know, you know. I was dating Rico, but the only part that was fucked up about the whole situation is we was in 2 different units. I was in A1 and she lived in C unit. So I would have to like sneak out of bounds to go, if I wanted to chill, lay up with her, hunch her, whatever the case was, I had to sneak out of bounds. Unless we was like, you know, in the library or in the chow hall or at the rec yard. But when I really wanted, you know, when we wanted to sneak off and do our little I used to have to come out of bounds. She couldn't come out of bounds because she was very like, she stood out like a sore thumb. Me, I could blend in. I'm a girly girl, you know what I'm saying? I could blend in with a hoodie. She couldn't blend in. So I was in a relationship with Rico majority of my stay at Aliceville. I was at Aliceville from, I want to say 2014. I got shipped like 2016 or 17. Everything be running together, y'all, when you're in prison. That's another thing. The years and the days and the months run together. So if my timeline is a little foggy, it's because I did a whole 10-piece like a chicken, y'all. I'm not making this shit up. This shit really happened. So anyways, I'm with the girl, you know, we vibing, and I did not know that she had in prison they call it an in-house. So, you know, in the free world we call it a side chick, side nigga, side chick. In prison they got an in-house and they got an outhouse. So I was the outhouse girlfriend. I didn't know. I thought I was the main bitch because we always was together. You know, on the holidays she always did her big one for me. Like, I did not want for nothing. Rico had a little money, so I never had to worry about commissary. I never had to worry about a lot of things. Because remind you guys, I never heard from my co-defendant again. The only person that was really like supporting me was my mom, my sister. Like, my immediate family was the only ones really like supporting me. So when I got with this girl, I was like, thank you, Jesus. I got somebody that got some money. I ain't gonna have to worry about commissary. I ain't gonna worry about this. I'm gonna worry about that. But the whole time, Rico had a girlfriend in the unit. And the girlfriend was from Florida too. She was from Tampa. Her name was Kia. Now, Kia was fine. Kia had a BBL. Kia had, you know, she was a little dark skin, little short, little something, whatever. She had a little going on or whatever. But that bitch wasn't prettier than me. I don't care what nobody say. And I stand on it to this day. So one day I just happened to be going, mind you, me and Kia, we had this, it was like a war. Like, I hated her fucking guts. I hated her because I knew Rico was fucking her in the unit, and it was nothing I could do about it. It's not like I can go in there and catch him, and then even if I did catch him, I wasn't leaving Rico. That was my first girlfriend. I was in love. I wasn't leaving Rico. But I hated that whole guts, and she hated me too. But she would make it be known that she was fucking my bitch in the unit. She would make it known. Like, she would walk past me, smirk, do her little or she'll say little certain shit. Like, she let me know that it was true. And Rico would lie so bad. Rico was a Gemini. One thing about the Gemini gonna lie. You can catch a Gemini in the act, and they gonna say it's not what it looks like. Bitch, yes it is. But I don't want to get off topic. So one day I'm out of bounds, and I'm going to my girl room. I'm sneaking to my girl room because everybody know that's my man. Like, everybody in prison, you don't say your girl. If you go to stud, that's your man. And Rico, that was my man. So I'm going to my man room, and I see the girl coming. As I'm going up, she's coming down, and she bumps me. Mind you, me and her done came to near blows several times, but this time I was just over it because I'm like, this hoe gonna keep trying me, like, bitch, until you get your issue. And you know, she from Florida, so us Florida hoes, we got our little ways about us, baby. We gonna pop that shit. That tongue is vicious, and we gonna throw them hands too. So I'm knowing she on that type of time too, but I'm like, whatever, bitch, you gonna have to show me. So she bumps me, and I tell that hoe, come in the room. So she came to the room, and Rico standing in between us, and Rico telling her, Kia, you need to get her by the door, because I'm not gonna break it up. I'm not finna break it up. I'm tired of always stopping her from being your ass. I'm not finna break it up. She's like, let me go. I'm taking off my earrings. I'm telling her, if you cross this threshold, girl, I'm finna beat your ass in these people. Bro, and mind you, I'm out of bounds, y'all. I'm in somebody else's whole unit. I live in A unit. I'm all the way in C unit on the 3rd floor, out of bounds. So she come in the room, y'all. When I tell you we was in that bitch like motherfucking Floyd Mayweather versus goddamn, who a good boxer? Because I don't even want to say motherfucking Mike Tyson, the way he let that white man whoop his ass. But let's just say it was Floyd Mayweather versus Floyd Mayweather. We was in that bitch doing bows, and she was shorter than me, and she was smaller than me, but that hoe was hanging. But you know, I had to put my little weight down on that hoe and let her know, like, bitch, big dog. Slam that hoe on the bed, and I went to work on that hoe. That was round 1. Somebody came in the room. You know, when you fight, everybody want to come be nosy. Somebody came in the room, and they end up pressing a button. We got these buttons in the rooms. When you press the button, it alerts the officer station. So everybody coming and running in there. And when the officer came running in there, everybody was like, everybody get in their room. And like, ain't nothing happened. We're going to say it was an accident. Mind you, I'm in Rico room. Bitch, at this point, I done got under the bed. Because I'm like, oh my God, if I get caught out of bounds, bitch, I'm getting shipped. So I'm under the bed. I'm waiting on the officer to come turn the alarm off. Everybody acting like ain't nothing happened, y'all. Soon as she closed the door, went back in her little station. Round 2, we done got it cracking. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like round 2, she kind of got the best of me. Because I wasn't expecting the bitch to come back for more. Like, bitch, you got your ass beat, just let it be. But she wanted to prove her little point. You know, one thing when you fight in front of nobody. It's a whole nother thing when you fight in front of a bitch that you want, or somebody that you supposed to like. You want to try to show that you big dog or whatever. So we fighting. I feel like she got the best of me, whatever. They hit the button again, dog. The officer came over there again. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to the shoot. I know I'm going to the shoot for sure. And y'all, I had left out a very important fact. So, when the officer came and I was hiding under the bed, as soon as she left, I had ran into the girl room. So now we in the girl room fighting. That's when the second round happened. Somebody came in and tried to break us up. They end up hitting the button again. So now the girl ran out her own room and she left me in her room. Once I lay down on the bunk, act like that was my unit, the officer came in, turned the thing off again, and she left again, y'all. I was ready for round 3. I looked around the room. I said, okay, this hoe got a lock on her locker. I took that motherfucking locker and I had it in my hand because I knew she was gonna come back in her room. Soon as she came back in her room, I went to clocking that hoe upside her head. Bok, 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 with that lock. I was hitting that hoe so hard with the lock. To this day, I got the thing on my finger from the lock. I got like these things on my knuckles from cutting myself, scraping myself with the lock. But I worked that hoe with that lock. And the third round, finally, that's when my man broke up the fight. Was like, all right, enough. He pulled her out, pissed me off. Cause why would you pull that hoe out? You supposed to come comfort me. He pulled that hoe out and left me in the whole room. I started destroying every motherfucking thing. I put the motherfucking MP3 player in the toilet. I took that whole clothes, was putting them bitches in the toilet. Everything I could see was going in the toilet. Cause why would you go, Tootie? Mommy is doing a video.